Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about what to do if you find yourself feeling overstimulated and anxious in motherhood. I'm sharing a transparent look into how I've personally been feeling off balance in motherhood recently, as well as giving you a starting place to start making changes if you've also been feeling this lately. If you're new around here, hi, I'm KyAnn. I'm a wife and mama of 3 kids, 4 and under, and I share lots of content around here on intentional motherhood, daily rhythms to bring more peace and less overwhelm, faith, and simple living. If you like that kind of thing, I'd love for you to subscribe and join our little growing YouTube family. And if you're not new around here, thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'm so grateful for every day that you spend with me and encouraging comments that you guys leave. You make me smile so much, and it's so nice to read your comments and know that there's actually people watching and that it is encouraging you in some way. To start off this video, I just want to be really transparent here. You guys know that I'm all about intentional rhythms, helping stay-at-home moms create more peace and less overwhelm in their life, being very intentional to make sure that my larger priorities in life are being reflected in my daily habits. It's literally what I do, and obviously something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And all of that being said, I have a little bit of a confession to make in today's video, or a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Ever since I've been sharing my life in some capacity online for almost a decade now, just only over here on YouTube for the past year and a half or so, I've really made it a goal to be very transparent and honest, to show things that are maybe uncomfortable or just a little messier in real life than a lot of people like to share online. Clearly there's boundaries here, but I really try my best to not only show the highlight reel and the mountaintop moments of life, but also just share the ups and downs and what I'm learning along the way. Because the reality is that life is never perfect, and we've never arrived, and we're all constantly learning and growing. But social media would like us to believe that everyone except us has their life fully figured out, that they're living in their calling day to day, they never run into challenges or restrictions, and that growth is really a linear journey where they are just constantly leveling up on the success graph of life, right? I don't know. Have you felt that before? Because I definitely have, and I've personally found that growing is actually a lot more ups and downs, peaks and valleys along the way, and just really just a journey. It's not just straight up. Like, it's not that you keep going up and you hit success and then you are good for the rest of your life. And all of that to say, even though I'm the go-to rhythms girl and advocate for slow and simple living, being present with those you love, keeping your life in sustainable balance as much as possible, I personally fell away from some of my core rhythms recently, and that's why I wanted to share this video. Now, I'll preface this to say that I didn't fall off and completely spiral and lose all of the progress that I've made in the last few years. Not at all. And I actually learned a lot about how far I really have come, because picking those rhythms back up a few weeks or a month later actually was a lot more seamless than I would have expected, which I really give credit to just the incremental progress that I've made over time, to where these rhythms truly are almost subconscious at this point. So picking them back up was actually just a lot easier than I thought it would be. But yes, in a very busy season this fall, I dropped some of my core rhythms, some of which are ones that I preach about constantly and truly are so life-giving and just vital for me. This fall, I launched my course. I've shared a lot about that here, so you guys have probably heard about it, but I created that entire course, which was just, it was a lot of work. A lot of work behind the scenes. And then I obviously had my normal work as far as creating YouTube content, creating Instagram content, emails. We used to be full-time photographers, so we have mini sessions that we still do every fall, so that adds quite a workload. And then just like all of the fall busyness and holidays and birthdays and all of those things that we have, fall is always a really busy time of year for us. And then my husband is also going to school again currently, so that's taking a lot of time. So there was just a lot of different things on our plate. And I remember talking to a friend in the midst of it and telling her that because I am the rhythms girl, and because that is something that I am really talking a lot about on all of my different platforms, it's something that I'm super passionate about. It's, you know, the whole focus of my course and all of that, because that is like my thing. I felt so much pressure, even though we were doing so much more than normal, to keep all of those rhythms that I have all going perfectly and not letting any balls drop along the way. And I was sharing that with her in the moment, because we just had added a lot to our schedule and there was a lot going on behind the scenes, but yet we hadn't let go of anything. And it kind of felt like, because I am so passionate about this, because this is what I teach, that I couldn't let any of them go, because I am the girl that prioritizes those things. So obviously it wouldn't even make sense if I'm teaching other people how to do that. I can't let that go behind the scenes. And in all reality, she shared with me that during busy seasons, when you have extra things added on your plate, sometimes things just have to be dropped. And sometimes there are even things that are really important to you, but they need to be shuffled around a little bit for a short season, for a sprint season, seasons when you're needing to focus a lot in other areas, it's okay to let things drop a little bit, and that happened for me. Okay, I'm interrupting this video really quick to tell you all about my course that's for busy stay-at-home moms. It's called Rhythm Reset Roadmap, and it basically walks you through creating simple systems and rhythms to help your life flow on autopilot so that you can get more done in less time and spend more time with the people that you love most. It basically is like the reset that we all need as moms to stop just surviving in motherhood and waiting until bedtime and constantly trying to do all the things but not feeling like we're doing any of them well. It gives you the reset to take a step back and figure out what your actual priorities are and make sure that those are reflected in your daily habits. Because we all have habits throughout every day, but so much of the time they are unintentional things that have just kind of accumulated over time, and they're not actually living out our true priorities. So they're just random things that have happened to become a habit, and they're not intentional rhythms that you've thoughtfully and prayerfully thought through and implemented in your life to make sure that you are present with your kids, make sure that your priorities as a whole are being reflected, and that you're also getting done what needs to get done. It's basically the survival guide that you need for a season of chaos with littles to give you the answer to curbing the overwhelm and finding more peace in your days. I am so passionate about teaching this because I've walked through this in my own life, and my life is a complete 180 from what it was a few years ago when I was in that survival season of motherhood, when it felt like everything was chaotic and I had no idea just where to even start. This gives you a step-by-step guide on where to start, how to walk through the process, the right questions to ask, and the framework that you need to start problem solving and looking through the actual areas that are causing you the most stress in your life, and really get to the root of that and implement intentional rhythms that will help you to go from a place of stress and chaos to intention and peace. So if this resonates at all with you and you need a fresh restart for 2024 to start off the year right, to just dive in and make sure that you are really living out your true purpose as a mom and not just surviving day to day but actually thriving in motherhood, then this course is for you. I will have the link in the description so that you can go find out all the information on the course, what it includes, who it's for, all of those kind of things, and you can dive in and get started right away so that January you can start out fresh, so that you can start thriving in motherhood and getting your life back without sacrificing precious time and memory with your babies. I'm so passionate about this, and I want to help you too. This course is a huge reason that I'm able to continually create content here on YouTube and be in this space that I absolutely love, building a community of women who are like-minded and just, we really resonate with each other, we get each other, and we're here to encourage each other along the way. So thank you for listening and learning a little bit more about my course, and we'll get back to the video. So there are a few different things that I wanted to share about that are really important rhythms for me that I will continue to preach, that they are so important and life-giving and just necessary. Like, I really think that they bring a lot of peace and less overwhelm to your daily lives as a whole. But I actually dropped them for a season. So one of them was actually my Bible time in the morning first thing. And this was not an intentional decision. I will be the first to say that. So this is not something that I went into and I was like, I'm gonna drop this. No, this is just one of those things that sometimes things just happen. And this was one of those for me. So I still had my quiet time like throughout the day, but I had gotten into a really good rhythm of having my Bible time very first thing in the morning, so that I was really like centering my heart in the Lord, centering my heart in who He says that I am and what His priorities for my day are instead of just my own. I had been doing that for a while, and during this season, it didn't happen at first, but towards the end of this season, I just was getting more tired. I think I was staying up later to get things done and then trying to get up early, and then it felt like I just didn't have enough time to start the day with my Bible time. I needed to get the work time in before the kids got up, which obviously is not true, but that's just the reality. That's what happened. And I found that it had such an effect on my mental health overall, just how I was responding throughout the day. I was just responding with impatience and frustration a lot quicker than I was when I was starting the day with my quiet time and really just keeping my focus on the Lord first thing in the morning so that that could pour out of me all throughout the day. So that was one thing that I dropped. Another thing was like the outside time that we regularly have with our kids. We like to have our kids spend a lot of time playing outside and just playing independently, and some of that honestly did get dropped, especially the outside. It is getting colder, so we do have to bundle them up, and that's kind of a process. It's worth it, but it is a process, and I think in the midst of just trying to get work done and trying to be focused, it wasn't all just work, but just being focused throughout the day on the different tasks I had, that was one that dropped as well. And even our Sabbath day off, so our day of rest, I usually delete social media from my phone entirely. We connect as a family. We're pretty intentional around the rhythms that we do for our Sabbath, and that was something that we let go of for a season as well. So I'm sharing all of that to say that I really noticed the difference in my life. Once we came to the end and I got my course launched and everything, I was feeling, I don't know, I was just feeling a little heavy, a little like, okay, I need a second to breathe. I feel like that was a lot. I feel kind of all over the place. I feel like I'm having a hard time focusing and getting things done. And I just feel, I don't feel like back to the same spot I was a few years ago, but I can definitely feel that I just feel off balance. Like something doesn't feel right here. And once I sat down and really thought through it, I realized some of these rhythms that had gone to the wayside for a short season, and I realized just how important those are in your life. Some of those little daily habits that you think are inconsequential, but when you are unintentionally letting those slide and letting other things come in their place, because most of the time when you're letting something slide, it's not just like you have this open time in your day. Typically it's being filled by something else. And a lot of times it's not being filled with the things that you want, and you feel those side effects of just feeling some of that anxiety, feeling some of that overwhelm, feeling like you're just not super present and just focused throughout the day. And I don't mean focus like on one specific thing, but just I can feel a difference in myself when I go into the day knowing what I need to accomplish, whether that's home-wise or work-wise or whatever, knowing that I'm going to have time with my kids where I can just invest in them and be fully present because I know where I'm going to get those things that I need to accomplish done. I have time in the day set aside that I can focus on that. I feel a big difference between that and then showing up, just waking up at whatever time I can, having to make my to-do list, like after the kids are already up, as I'm running through the morning, like trying to figure out what I actually need to get done so that when I do have time to get it done, I know what to get done. It just feels a lot more stressed and chaotic. So anyways, I shared some of that to just share that even for me, like even when I am so passionate about this and this is what I teach and I have found so much freedom, like my life is a complete 180 from where it was a few years ago. I have so much more peace in my days. I feel so much more purpose in knowing like what I need to accomplish and having these rhythms set up as like a loose framework around my days so that I know that I'm getting the time in that I need to invest in my kids well, to be present with them, to also just accomplish the things that need to get done, because we all have things to accomplish throughout the day, right? And to know that I'm just living with intention overall throughout my days as a mom, that I'm not just living in the overwhelm and the chaos and letting it spiral to a point where I'm just like paralyzed to even like make change or make decisions. Decision fatigue is so real for moms. So I got to this point, right? And maybe you can relate to this, or maybe you're at a spot similar to where I was a few years ago, where it really does feel like your life is just chaos behind the scenes. Like this isn't just a small season for you. This is something that has kind of been building for a while over time, and you found yourself in a spot that you just never really imagined that you would be in. Just feeling very overwhelmed, anxious, and paralyzed to even know like where to even begin. So for the rest of this video, I really wanted to give you a starting place. If this is something, if any of that resonates with you, if you are feeling just overwhelmed, overstimulated, and anxious in motherhood, whether it's a season of just feeling a little off balance or whether it's a season of feeling just completely off the path entirely, I think that having a starting place is really helpful, because sometimes when we get to a place where we're just exhausted trying to keep up on it all, we can feel paralyzed on where to even start making changes, because we just don't even have the mental energy to figure out like what is a good starting place. How do I know where to start? How do I keep myself from trying to accomplish change in all of the areas at once and completely burning myself out? How do I know what small steps are actually going to be impactful? I wanted to share with you 5 rhythms that I have regularly implemented when I get to a place of overwhelm in motherhood, because it happens to us all. Despite, even if you've gone through all of these changes like me, like I've made a lot of changes, I've implemented a lot of these rhythms, my life, like I have shared, is completely different than it was a few years ago. And I do not live in overwhelm and constant stress and chaos and just survival mode in motherhood anymore. That is not my reality at this point. The Lord has thankfully led me out of that season, and I have been really intentional to make changes that have really helped in just bringing more peace to my days, and like I said, just more purpose, and just knowing how to manage the chaos, knowing how to thrive in motherhood and not just survive and wait until bedtime, right? But even with all of that, I still get overwhelmed all the time. It happens. I still have moments of overwhelm, and I think that that is very normal. I think you're always going to have that. You're always going to have seasons where you have more on your plate, and you have to figure out how to pivot and get back to a place of peace, right? There are so many things to be said for this, but these specific 5 things are what I implement when I get to a spot where I'm like, okay, things feel out of whack. I need to reset. I need to get back to just feeling peace in my days overall as a mom and not just feeling chaos. So the first thing that I'll mention is putting my phone in a drawer for an hour at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. And if you want to start even smaller than that, you can work up to that. You could start with like 10 or 15 minutes and then work up to an hour if that feels overwhelming. But when you're not starting the day being bombarded with notifications and social media scrolling, this alone helps free up so much mental space and just allows you to be more present. And this is hard to do. Our phones and social media especially, they are designed to keep us on them. There is an actual very real addiction element to this. And so it can be really hard to break these habits, but I found this is a small habit that when you're intentional to slowly start working on it over time, it really does clear up a lot of mental space. I don't know, it is kind of crazy the amount of difference that it makes in your days. The second thing that I'll mention is cutting out the noise. So overstimulation, especially for moms of little kids with toddlers and babies, this is a very real thing. I am sure that if you are listening to this and if you have toddlers and babies, you probably can remember many moments where your toddler is repeatedly asking you for something over and over and over again. Your baby is crying. Maybe you have some music or a show running in the background and it just is too much. And you're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I feel like I just want to scream at everyone and I don't even know what to do with myself because I can't even focus to know what I should tackle first because everyone is yelling at me at the same time and it is super overwhelming. So in specific days or moments when I am feeling overstimulated in general, I often naturally want to numb out by putting on a podcast or TV show in the background and just like ignore the entire situation. I don't know if anyone else resonates with that, but that really is my natural desire, is like, okay, this is way too much. I need to just like, I don't know, I just need to put something on so that I can focus on something else so that I don't freak out, right? That is not the answer though. That is not the answer. If you are already having a day where you are starting off just feeling overwhelmed, maybe even before you have this like constant noise coming at you, but maybe you're just starting the day feeling a little bit more overwhelmed and anxious than you normally do, I try and be really intentional about consistently forcing myself in those moments or those days to not put anything extra on to add to the overwhelm and the noise levels. And that really does help so much. It just helps generally with overstimulation in general, with not having extra noise to just put you over the top and send you over the edge kind of thing. But also I found that even in my relationship with the Lord, when I am intentional in those moments to be praying and like seeking the Lord first with this, telling him, you know, what I'm struggling with, asking for his strength, asking for patience, asking for grace, all of those things, that really helps center my heart as well. And that helps me come back to that I need the Lord more than anything in my days. And adding a podcast or a TV show to numb out and distract myself is not the answer, but coming to the feet of Jesus and telling him what I am actually struggling with, what I need his help with, I need his strength, like I need him to get through this moment, that brings a lot of change. The next thing that I'll say is starting my day praying for wisdom to know what is top priority for the day and discernment to set the rest aside. This can be really hard to do, especially if you have a to-do list that is a mile long and you feel like you are never able to accomplish it. It is really hard in those moments to actually go through and be able to prioritize what is really important and what isn't. So one thing that I like to implement in these seasons is choosing 3 top items to focus on for the day. Only 3. Making a list that you know that you can complete will give your brain a dopamine hit, but it will also help you to not spend the entire day frantically trying to complete a to-do list that you never would have completed in 3 days time, let alone 1. So it just gives you some realistic boundaries, and if you need to get things out of your brain and on paper, you can keep like a running list in your phone or on paper, whichever you prefer, with more items that you need to get done. And if you get those 3 items done and you have like a whole day left, then you go right ahead and accomplish some of those small tasks. But choosing 3 core items that you can really focus on helps to just give your brain like that success of like, I did it, I accomplished this, and just being realistic about what you can actually get done in the day. The next thing is waking up at least 15 minutes before my kids. I found that waking up with little people tugging at me and everyone needing me at once, that was really setting me up for a day of overwhelm and stress. It was just a lot all at once, and prioritizing at least a little bit of time to wake up on my own and get my heart in the right place before everyone else does, does so much to set my day up right. And so that is something I'm really passionate about. I actually get up a lot earlier than that at this point because I use some of the time for work as well. I start with my quiet time and having some time with the Lord first, and then I have my work time, just because I am a work from home mom and I need some of that space when I don't have a lot of childcare or anything like that. I need some space to get work done. But this has been a really huge thing for me. I am not a morning person, so it's taken work to prioritize that, but I actually created a completely free guide. It's over 19 pages and it's full of just the step-by-step process of how to create a morning routine that really serves you in your season. Even if you're not sleeping through the night, it walks you through how to practically get up before your kids, how to make it happen, how to set your morning up to really just be starting your day from a place of peace. And so if that's something that would be helpful for you, I will leave the link in the description so that you can go grab it. Like I said, it's completely free, and I haven't looked at it in a while, but I know I've had well over 200 people that have grabbed it, and so many people have said that it helped them so much in just starting to make that a habit and something that they struggled with for many years, and now it's really just bringing a lot of joy in their days, which is obviously just so encouraging to hear. So that link is in the description for you. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is making it a priority to spend 15 minutes of focused, fully present time with my kids every day. This will vary on how we spend that time each day, but we're often reading books or doing an activity that they love, or having our morning coffee time together, which is just where I have my coffee and I make them basically a steamer. So I warm up and froth some milk, and then they get to choose their syrup that they put in it, and we put it together in a cute little coffee cup, and we have coffee time together, and we'll sit at the table and we'll just talk about the day and talk about, you know, things that they're loving or things that they're learning. Just have some quality, like, slow time together. And I love that. There's something about just coming together over either food or drinks that is just, I don't know, man. There's something about it. I've heard that there's actual like science behind it, but it's just so connecting, and it really just builds those habits. So even as they get older, I hope that they will want to come back to these moments and come back when they need to have deep conversations to connect with us. That I was talking about, just spending 15 minutes, it is actually really easy. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I feel like it's really easy to go through the entire day and be so focused on getting done the things that I need to get done around the house, laundry and dishes and cooking and, you know, all the things, just to make sure that everyone has what they need, and get to the end of the day and realize that you didn't even spend even like 10 to 15 minutes fully focused on your kids. Like, yes, you were with them all day, but you weren't just fully present with them, interacting with them, hearing what's on their heart and all of that kind of stuff. So making that a rhythm in my life, that brought a lot of change and a lot of peace to our days, and just like a lot of intention to intentionally be connecting with my kids and making sure that I'm slowing down to like really enjoy the things that they're learning right now, the things that they love doing, watch them do things that they genuinely love, give them the space to just talk about whatever they want to talk about, and just having that time to just really slow down together. We have other moments of connection obviously throughout the day where we are doing things side by side, or they're helping me with tasks or whatever, but I found that just setting aside 15 minutes a day to focus on something that they love and something that they want to do really does a lot for all of our hearts. So I hope this video was encouraging in some way. I know that I have definitely been feeling off balance, as I said, and in the past few weeks since my course has launched, I have really prioritized getting some of those rhythms that were let go of in that busy season, reestablishing them. And like I mentioned, it actually was a lot quicker process than I expected it to be, and I can see the changes already, and it's kind of amazing to see how much even just these little things make an impact on your days overall, and just help you to feel just more balanced, and just to feel like you are enjoying the season and motherhood so much more. These rhythms just really bring just a lot of purpose and peace to your days, and that is something that I am so passionate about and I love helping other people with. So I hope that this video brought you some practical encouragement, and I hope you can take something away from this if you are in a season of just feeling a little bit off balance or feeling anxious and overwhelmed in motherhood. I hope this blessed you, and I would love to hear in the comments if this encouraged you. And if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe before you go, and I would love for you to follow along with my journey. And if you're not new around here, thank you so much for spending another day with me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, friends.